The government of Burkina Faso, under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has been quite successful in breaking away from neocolonialism and imperialist powers. After taking over the leadership of Burkina Faso in October 2022, President Traoré kicked out French troops and suspended several French media outlets while establishing stronger ties with Iran and Russia. This West African country is clearly on a path towards true independence. Towards the end of 2023, Burkina Faso opened its embassy in Tehran and appointed Mohammadi Kaboureh as the new ambassador. High-ranking officials of the two countries have held talks on enhancing bilateral economic, political, cultural, and commercial collaboration between their nations. Recently, Burkina Faso was one of the three countries that opposed the anti-Iran resolution at the International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors meeting. This action was testament to the brotherly ties between Tehran and Ouagadougou. So why is the Republic of Iran important to the revolutionary and anti-imperialist government of Burkina Faso?
Iran's ties with Burkina Faso.
And for more on the ties between Iran and Burkina Faso and other matters relating to Burkina Faso, we are pleased to be joined here in the studio by His Excellency Mohammadi Kaboureh, the ambassador of Burkina Faso to the Islamic Republic of Iran. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for your time today.
Merci. Bonjour.
Thank you. Good morning. And I thank you for welcoming me this morning to the Africa Today studio. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Merci.
Now, Burkina Faso took the step to open an embassy in Iran after a popular uprising by the masses in 2022 brought to power Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Now, can you tell us, why is establishing ties and expanding ties with the Islamic Republic of Iran important for Burkina Faso?
Indeed, the embassy of Burkina Faso reopened its doors in October 2023 in Tehran, following its closure in 1998. However, it's important to note that the Islamic Republic of Iran and Burkina Faso have maintained relations for nearly 50 years. Throughout this cooperation, the two countries have supported each other mutually. Now the importance of this cooperation for the authorities of Burkina Faso is undeniable, because within the framework of this cooperation, we have a strategic partner, which is Iran. You may recall that the Burkina Faso authorities, particularly Captain Ibrahim Traoré, decided to diversify Burkina Faso's partnerships. Thus, he has chosen to renew and strengthen bilateral cooperation between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Burkina Faso. Therefore, the importance of this cooperation is undeniable.
Now, Mr. Ambassador, it's 1 year since you officially commenced your tour of duty as an ambassador to Iran here. Now, what have been some of your achievements since you started your duty?
I
officially took office about a year and a month or two ago as the ambassador of Burkina Faso to Iran. During this period, I've managed to make strides both in the diplomatic and economic spheres. On the diplomatic level, we have seen, for example, high-ranking authorities from Burkina Faso visiting the Islamic Republic of Iran. I can mention, among others, the President of the National Assembly, the Prime Minister of Burkina Faso, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and even business people who came to explore the Iranian market. Additionally, in the same realm of diplomacy, we have worked to implement the agreements signed during the first Joint Cooperation Commission held in Burkina Faso, which resulted in the signing of 8 agreements. We are currently working on implementing these agreements. We also signed another agreement with the Islamic Republic in the field of civilian nuclear energy. Furthermore, we are negotiating other agreements with the Islamic Republic of Iran. In the economic domain, I can tell you there's a clear enthusiasm among Iranian business people for the business opportunities and potential available in Burkina Faso. This was especially evident after the webinar we organized at the Chamber of Commerce, aimed at Burkina Faso and Iranian business people to showcase the opportunities available in both countries. Subsequently, I've been able to visit many cities in Iran to explore Iran's potential. I can name Karaj, Mashhad, Kashan, and Isfahan. These are some of the cities I visited where I discovered the incredible potential that exists in Iran and which could benefit Burkina Faso. Additionally, in the context of decentralized cooperation, there are Iranian cities interested in forming partnerships with cities in Burkina Faso. Among them, I can mention Shahin Shahr and Rezwan Shahr. These are cities, among others, that wish to establish relationships with cities in Burkina Faso. And we are working on this so that, on a cultural level also, these cities can truly cooperate. These are, indeed, some of the successes I am sharing for now, while we look forward to achieving more successes.
En attendant qu'on récolte d'autres succès.
Mr. Ambassador, recently, Burkina Faso backed Iran against the anti-Iran resolution, which was passed by the Board of Guidance Panels of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. Now, this anti-Iran resolution was brought by the 3 European countries, Britain, France, and Germany. And Burkina Faso was actually one of the 3 countries that opposed this anti-Iran resolution. Can you tell us how important is it for Burkina Faso to oppose this resolution?
Okay, le Burkina
Faso is a member of the IAEA Board of Governors, and as such, it had to take a position on this resolution. In this context, the decision made by the government of Burkina Faso is fully assumed based on its convictions and choices. We believe that every country has the right to use civilian nuclear technology for its development. In this regard, Burkina Faso has made a sovereign choice, and I believe that is what matters most for our country.
c'est ce qui est important pour notre pays.
Mr. Ambassador, still on the nuclear issue, Iran and Burkina Faso last September signed a memorandum of understanding for cooperation in peaceful nuclear activities. The MOU was signed in Vienna on the sidelines of the 68th IAEA meeting.
Yeah.
So can you tell us why has Burkina Faso decided to collaborate with Iran in terms of peaceful use of nuclear energy?
Okay, effectivement.
Indeed, on the sidelines of the Board of Governors meeting in Vienna, the 2 countries signed a Memorandum of Understanding regarding peaceful civilian nuclear energy. In this context, both countries have committed to cooperating in areas of expertise and technology to enable them to benefit from nuclear energy, which is crucial for our country. You know that the energy sector is fundamental to the development of any country. That is why we decided to establish a partnership with the Islamic Republic of Iran. It should be noted that we also have partners in this field, such as the Russian Federation and even the IAEA, which is a partner. We believe that Iran can contribute significantly to Burkina Faso in the field of atomic energy. That is why I truly welcome this initiative. In terms of expertise, we believe that we will benefit from Iran's experience in this field to develop our energy sector in the nuclear domain.
Dans le domaine du nucléaire.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Ambassador, you talked about having visited several parts of Iran, and I'm sure in your visits over the last 1 year, you have seen how Iran has attained phenomenal progress in infrastructure, economy, trade, science, and technology. And we also have seen how Burkina Faso, the current government of Burkina Faso, under the wise leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has taken steps to attain self-sufficiency in various sectors. And we know Iran is also self-sufficient in many sectors. So how do you plan to work with Iran to ensure that Burkina Faso also attains self-sufficiency in fields such as mining and agriculture, which are very critical for your country?
Okay. Comme je le disais tantôt,
As I mentioned earlier, we aim to strengthen cooperation between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Burkina Faso across all economic, diplomatic, cultural, and scientific sectors. Especially in the mining and agricultural sectors, we have made significant progress in our cooperation as agreements have been signed between the two sides. For instance, in the agricultural sector, we are working with Iran's Agricultural Engineering and Natural Resources Organization to explore ways to implement a soilless farming system. This means that Iranian business people could lease and develop land in Burkina Faso, produce agricultural goods, and either export them to Iran or process them locally. Similarly, in the mining sector, we have available mining sites. As you know, a number of mining contracts are being reviewed, and I believe Iranian investors could benefit from the new regulations in this sector.
et pour les investisseurs iraniens.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador.
Merci.
And viewers, we now take a short break before we continue our discussion with the Burkina Faso ambassador to Iran, Mr. Mohammadi Kaboureh, on relations between Iran and Burkina Faso. Stay with us.
Iran's ties with Burkina Faso.
Welcome back to Africa Today, and this week we are talking to Burkina Faso's ambassador to Iran, Mr. Mohammadi Kaboureh, and we are talking about the relations between Iran and Burkina Faso. Welcome back, Mr. Ambassador.
Merci.
Now, recently, Iran's ambassador to Burkina Faso held a meeting with your country's security minister, and he pledged unwavering support of Iran in your country's war against terrorists and insurgents. Burkina Faso, we know, is engaged in a major battle against these Takfiri terrorist groups. In your opinion, in what ways can Iran assist your country and maybe generally Sahel countries in this war against terrorism?
Oui, le Burkina Faso fait face.
Yes, Burkina Faso has been facing terrorism for several years now and is doing everything it can to overcome this terrible scourge that hampers its development. I believe that the Islamic Republic of Iran, as a strategic partner for us, must cooperate with us to ensure that terrorism is eradicated from Burkina Faso and the Sahel region. In terms of support, you know that Iran has expertise in this area. They have also experienced terrorism, even if to a lesser extent than we have. So they have valuable expertise. Burkina Faso could benefit from training for personnel to strengthen their capacities. We could also benefit from logistical support, as that is essential in resisting terrorists. Therefore, we are counting on the Islamic Republic of Iran to provide us with its full support, including political support, which we also need. This war is not solely military. Politically, it is a war as well, so I believe we will always need their political support. To this end, we must cooperate in this area and request firmer support from the Islamic Republic of Iran to combat terrorism beyond our borders and across the Sahel region.
De l'AES. Voilà.
Now, Mr. Ambassador, we know that Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso have set up their own bloc known as the Alliance of Sahel States after leaving the ECOWAS economic bloc of West African states. Now, briefly, tell us the reason behind the formation of this alliance of Sahel states.
La décision des pays de l'AES.
The decision of the Alliance of Sahel States, also known as the AES countries, to leave ECOWAS was a well-thought-out and carefully considered decision. Why? Because first, ECOWAS was observed to have failed to respect the terms that originally bound the countries together at the creation of ECOWAS. Then, a paradigm shift within ECOWAS was noted, where it went beyond economic matters and started interfering politically in the internal affairs of member states, especially those that had decided to assert their sovereignty and manage their countries as they see fit in cooperation with their people. From that moment, it became imperative for the AES authorities to form a bloc to counter ECOWAS maneuvers. That is why the three countries decided to unite and form the AES. The AES is a bloc based on the Liptako-Gorma Authority, which you are familiar with. This authority already brought these countries together, so this is simply a revival of an existing bloc. The goal here is defense, security, diplomacy and development. That is why the three countries decided to withdraw from ECOWAS and fully assume responsibility for addressing the challenges they currently face, particularly in security and terrorism.
Actuellement, notamment l'insécurité et le terrorisme.
Mr. Ambassador, recently the governments of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have sought to renegotiate mining agreements with major European companies and other mining companies from around the world. And we know that many Western companies are not happy about this renegotiation, which I believe is in the interests of the people of these countries. So are you getting more revenue from your gold and uranium than you were getting before?
Well, for now, it's too early to say that we will generate more revenue than in the past, because when the authorities came into office, they first worked on revising the various regulations, as these regulations were unfavorable to us. Revising these texts, of course, takes time, so it was necessary to establish new laws and regulations to better govern the mining sector in our region. Whether it's uranium, gold in our country, or in Niger, almost all the countries that have sought to review regulations in this area to ensure that the exploitation of our resources benefit our populations as much as possible. I believe the goal is indeed to generate more revenue and to directly benefit the population. However, for now, I cannot confirm that there is more revenue compared to what we had before. But in the short or long term, it's certain that revenues will be higher than they were in the past.
Les revenus seront plus importants que par le passé.
Now, Mr. Ambassador, coming back to the Alliance of Sahel States, I think one of the major challenges that you face in the Sahel region is insecurity, and especially Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So, what policy do you have, or what steps are you taking to tackle this problem and challenge of insecurity, particularly terrorism across borders?
Bon, vous savez, le terrorisme n'est pas, comme je le disais tantôt.
Well, you know, terrorism, as I mentioned earlier, is not solely a military issue. Even in terms of communication, terrorism uses it as a tool to fight against our countries. Therefore, there's currently a communication strategy being implemented within the region to counter this anti-AES communication, if I may put it that way. I believe that we have already seen the initial stages of its implementation. It's true that for now, this is a cooperative effort between various media organizations within the region. On December 30th, 2024, we unveiled a common visual representation of the AES region. Through this visual, you now see the three countries collectively, not individually. I think that this is the starting point. From there, The rest will gradually follow according to the roadmap set by the three countries' heads of state. Ultimately, I believe we will establish an effective communication strategy to combat terrorism.
Efficace contre le terrorisme.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Now, last question. Many people in Africa, especially young people in Africa, are very hopeful about the potentials of the Alliance of Sahel States. And because this Alliance of Sahel States is an anti-colonial alliance, anti-imperialist alliance. So many young people are hopeful that it will set a new path for Africa. Where do you see this alliance in the next 5 years?
For the next 5 years, the AES, or Alliance of Sahel States, is brimming with potential. I'll start first with human resources. You mentioned young people. Indeed, there are young people and also women. It's a region with approximately 70 million inhabitants. So we believe that this human resource is very important for the development of our region. Next, we have vast natural resources that are yet to be fully exploited. Because, as you know, generally people say that Africa is untapped. Why? Because it still has resources that haven't been exploited yet. And in this area, we have quite a lot of natural resources in this regard. So, I think natural resources as well are a tremendous asset for the AES countries. And then, the AES spread means we want more development. More in the sense that we will build on what we already have in order to develop our respective countries before relying on external support. So, this is an important mindset for the three founding countries to adapt and to foster development. With these different elements, I think that in the short term we will establish a solid foundation for developments in our AES, provided that we can first eradicate terrorism, because it is this scourge that significantly hinders our respective countries. And that is what we can expect from the AES in the coming years.
Dans les toutes prochaines années.
Yeah.
Oui.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for your time and for this interview, which has been enlightening to our viewers. And with that, viewers, we come to the end of this week's edition of Africa Today. We were talking to Ambassador Mohammadi Kaboureh. He's the ambassador of Burkina Faso to Iran. You can watch this episode and all our previous shows on our website, presstv.ir. Thanks a lot for watching.